Tyler, thank you so much for, I'm going to just take it like you flew all the way out from Utah to come see me personally and sit in this room and do this podcast. So thank you.
I did. You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
So it's been about 3 years since we got to record last, and a lot of things have changed over at Pitted.
Yep.
It used to be just Pitted Labs. Now it's Pitted Logistics, Pitted Econ. What else is going on over at Pitted?
Yeah, so it's a suite of companies. We've got Pitted Labs, which you talked about. We started a warehouse fulfillment center called Pitted Logistics. And then we've also got a venture arm called Pitted Ventures. So basically 3 companies that help and support brands in the 3 most fundamental parts of our business: the marketing, the operations, and the financial side.
Yeah. And for the listener who didn't get to listen to our last episode, first of all, go check it out because it's fantastic. But you started this in college, or you were still in college?
Yep. I was a senior in undergrad.
Awesome. About 8 years ago now. You're coming up on that, which is awesome. So give us like the 30,000 foot view on starting it in college pretty much by yourself to where you are now.
Yeah. So started in college. At the time I was studying accounting. I ended up going to grad school the year after I started Pitted, again for accounting. After that, I did a year of public accounting. So 3 years as like I was going to sell my soul to the public accounting world. Pitted was always a side hustle to me, but left after 3 years from my accounting world to full-time Pitted. It's a cliche saying, never look back. Really enjoy what I learned, but yeah, Pitted has been my thing for about 5 years at this point, exclusively. Basically everywhere that we've gotten, because it was just Pitted Labs, everywhere that we've grown and expanded has been just problem solving for our clients. And so it's been a lot of fun. We've hired a lot of really cool people. We've had some successes, some losses, tons of challenges, both on the business side and just in personal lives, as it is with founders. Grateful every day for the experiences that I've been through and feel really lucky.
Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit about how your role has evolved over the years?
Yeah. The past year and a half, especially, starting with the beginning of 2023, for me personally, changed a lot from being the one who, and I say this by no means in a gloating kind of way, but like a genius with 1,000 helpers kind of mentality, where I want to do it myself. I want to be in. Part of it was just fun for me. I love doing stuff. Like my escape is to go to the warehouse and pack orders. Even today, that's my escape, as I love just getting my hands into the weeds. But to transition from that to a leader of leaders, managing people and not really doing any of the actual quote unquote work. I've been working really hard on that for the past year. And it's been difficult for me as a first time manager. I've never managed anybody outside of Pitted. So
do they know that?
The people I Pitted?
Yeah.
I think so. I'm
They're going to now. I'm going to email them now.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, I've never managed anybody. Maybe you can tell. But yeah, that was a big transition for me. I had to crash course learn everything. My skills or lack thereof in terms of motivating and encouraging and guiding and directing people is a lot more nuanced and artistic than going and building a spreadsheet with numbers in it.
Yeah.
So that's been really difficult for me. I feel like I've done a half decent job, but you'll have to ask my team.
Yeah. Look, I've been able to see a tremendous amount of growth over the last couple of years, and that doesn't come without great leadership. You know what I mean? I'm sure just because you're a human being, I'm pretty sure.
I think so.
You might have moments where we fall a little bit, but I think overall you're probably killing it.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Especially today. I feel like you can't get away with like bad leadership today because the people that you're employing have so many options. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, we have really focused on culture at Pitted. Not to say it's not without its faults, but we've always been in office, for example. We've always been in office, even through COVID. For me, having people in office physically near each other when they work helps build, and you guys are the same way here, builds camaraderie that you can't get virtually. We are able to learn things a lot quicker, just osmosis, water cooler talk, sitting next to each other at desks, talking, going out to team lunches and activities. So we really focus on culture. We are by no means the highest paying company in Utah or in Salt Lake or in the industry. So yeah, I think every person on our team could go somewhere and make more money, but they're staying because of the culture that we have, what we're building together, the fact that we're all in this together, the wins, the losses, I think what makes us really special.
So as Pitted has grown over the last, you said you've been full-time for the last 5 years, which is tremendous. you went from managing maybe a few people to now how many?
We've got about 45 people across the companies.
Amazing. So you have 45 people across the companies. That's a lot different than even the last couple of years when I met you before. I'm sure there's layers in between that. And have you had to manage each layer of that at one point?
On the pitted lab side, yes. It's a much smaller team over there. The warehouse side has been a little bit different. The scale of the operation grew a lot quicker. It requires a lot more associate level members of the team, where I've been relatively hands off on that. But it's still the same. Something that we feel really strongly about is that we don't necessarily have a hierarchy in terms of who's in charge of who, but a structure of accountability. I am not the boss and just tell people what to do because I'm the CEO. I am accountable to the people that report to me, and they're accountable to me. So it's a very flat organization. Like, I try and rub shoulders with the people at the warehouse as much as I can, being there, showing face. I never want to be seen as the leader who just sits in his ivory tower and just watches everybody. That's the last thing that I want. Yeah. So I've had to manage every level, and it's been really fun. And I think going through the ranks myself, having done it all, it allows me to connect better with the folks and say, look, I'm not just making stuff up because I'm the boss. I've literally done the things that you're doing, and let's figure it out together.
So for all 45 positions, let's say, I'm sure there's, let's say, more than one person in shipping, but for all 45 people, you've done every one of their jobs at one point.
I've done every single job at the company to at least some degree. The one thing I will say at the warehouse that I have not done, and I'm not sure why I'm holding off on doing it, maybe it's more just like a joke thing, I have never wrapped a pallet myself. That is the only thing I have not done. I've seen people do it, and if they're not using the machine, they get sick and dizzy and they feel like they're going to throw up. So I'm like, I think I'll leave that one to the pros.
That's funny. First of all, I love hearing that from you because, for one, I have a lot of respect for what you're doing. And we were talking over lunch that there's just not a lot of people that you meet that are fully bootstrapped without a ton of cash behind, or maybe even come from a lot of cash. And that's not to knock them. They're still doing their thing. They're putting a lot of things at risk. But there's not a lot of people who have done that. And I also don't believe that there's a lot of people who have actually touched each part of their business. Yeah. And then you end up having a scenario where the CEO or founder ends up being disconnected. For you, you've eliminated that, right?
Yeah, to a large part, yes. Like you're saying, like, this is no knock on the folks who have, gone and raised money. You and I are both bootstrapped. Yeah. I think the biggest con to being bootstrapped is just the speed at which you can grow. But in my situation, in my own experience, the pros outweigh the cons. It allows us to make decisions as an organization very quickly, and with us being so flat, anybody is able and encouraged to give feedback on, hey, we should probably change this part of our business, and then we don't have to go to a board or investors or a bank or anything to get the stuff approved. We just meet in a room, or we take a nap on it or whatever, and then we decide. Yeah. So it allows us to be really nimble, obviously at the expense of fast growth. But for me personally, my goal is not to sell any of these companies. My goal is to build an organization. So actually one of our values is success, that we build and serve to create meaningful lives for those who we work with. Meaningful can be financial, obviously, but it can also be work-life balance, joy, passion, all those things.
So you went to school for accounting.
I did.
And then you ended up building this company where you hadn't led anybody before, and you're talking to me about your core values. Where do you learn something like, okay, we should probably establish core values?
That was part of the exercise that we did beginning of 2023. Backwards in some academic spheres, I think you'd say. We decided on our mission, like an actual written mission and values, written values, maybe early spring, late winter 2023. So that exercise for us was actually really fun doing it in that timeline. At that point, we were probably 7 years into it. It allowed us to decide. The first thing we did was the mission. And the first thing we did was look back to how we've operated. It wasn't what do we want to be when we grew up. It's who have we been and how do we act truly and authentically. So we decided on our mission at that point in time, which is to build and serve through authentic relationships and a relentless pursuit of excellence. When we decided on that, was not who we wanted to be, that's who we were. And so that allowed us to all, especially as a leadership team, the folks who have been around the longest really feel that, and the values supported that. So it was a rear view mirror looking approach where we can say, yes, this is absolutely who we are, versus who do we want to be and maybe miss the mark or fall short.
It's just impressive to me that like you have enough awareness, like self-awareness, to be like, this is something we should do before we move forward.
Yeah.
I don't think enough people do that. And And then on top of that too, again, just completely different fields.
Yep.
Are there people that you look to for mentorship or as examples of what it's like to be a leader?
I'll say this, and I'm sure we'll talk about mental health in a little bit, but I don't have an advisory board. I have a leadership team at Pitted that I put together, and they're incredible. No board directors. One of the things I think I've done not so great a job is getting mentors around me. However, that being said, there are certainly individuals that I look up to. A lot of people have this, but Jeff Bezos, obviously we're in the Amazon world, so that's a natural one. But just seeing the breadth of what Amazon does, everybody knows them as the online marketplace, but they have web servers, they have Twitch, they have Whole Foods for grocery.
They have Prime.
Yeah, they've got Prime Video. So there's a lot that they do, and that's been so fascinating for us also doing a lot of seemingly unrelated things, how ultimately it comes to serve our customers and our clients. So Jeff Bezos is a really cool one that I like looking to.
How did you go about choosing your leadership team?
It was a mixture of experience and ability to live the Pitted mission and values. Like I said, for the mission and values, it was looking back. Our leadership team was there with me when we decided on it, and we built it, and we wrote it together. It's a team full of incredible people managers. That's part of the growth that I've had to do is for myself. My skill set is less important on the technical abilities, but more on the people management. Same with my leadership team. They may not know everything about the technical sides of the people they manage, but they are incredible people managers, and that's important.
What are some of the things to you that make them a great people manager?
Empathy, I think, is the biggest one. That's very different from sympathy, I'll say.
Yeah.
But empathetic to what's going on in their lives, knowing and caring to ask about what's going on in their lives. At the end of the day, all of our companies are service-based. So if we do not have people that are engaged and feel cared for and heard, able to voice their own opinions and thoughts, then the company implodes.
Yeah.
There are no widgets that we sell, so the people are so critical to what we do. So having a leadership team of incredible people managers who are empathetic and care to listen and care to hear is so valuable. Our head of account management, shout out James Clausen, he's actually on the board of a mental health coalition called We Are Mind. So that's a perfect example of caring about people, not only their physical safety, but also their mental health and well-being.
Yeah. Wow. You mentioned, again, over lunch, I was asking if you made it to Expo West or not. And you said, no, I delegated that.
I did.
Which is great. What are some of the things that what are some of the decisions that you for sure delegate out? And what are some of the ones that you will not delegate out?
Yeah. So to answer that, I'll give a little context into my role today. I have about 7 direct reports, all managers of people. I am the only owner, and we have no outside board of directors. So what I found, the things that I do delegate are the technical hands-on stuff. I'm actually out here meeting a client that I worked with 5 years ago, that I was the account manager. I was doing the ad buying. I was doing the listings and the pictures and all that stuff, where now they're working with us again, and there are people a couple levels removed from me that are now running the account. So I delegate those things. I can't scale the business doing those. The things that I don't delegate are the few large decisions that Pitted needs to make. Strategic positioning, what kind of expansion do we want to do? Somebody much wiser than myself said every startup is 2 to 3 big decisions away from failure. So that is something that I feel to my core, that a lot of my time is spent thinking, which feels weird, having been doing the doing for so long. I can't delegate the thinking and the strategic approach because I think Gary Vee says that nobody will care more about your business than you. Yep. So there are things that I just have to own and think through on my own time.
I've had the luxury of building this business of Blue Light over the last 10 years, and whether it was decision or just fate, we haven't grown past, I think, 17 people. Mm-hmm. You, on the other hand, have grown from, I'm just going to say 5. I don't know what it was at 3 years ago. Yeah. Do you know what it was 3 years ago?
I think maybe it was certainly under 10.
Okay. So let's say 10 to 45 people in 3 years.
Yeah.
On my side of the table, I feel a tremendous amount of pressure every single day with the amazing and small team that I have. Yeah. You've put a lot on you in 3 years.
Yeah.
How do you even begin to start handling all of that?
First and foremost, you hire a head of HR. That's a good place to start with that many people.
Yeah.
But I'll say it straight up. That's the thing that keeps me up at night and brings me the most stress is whether it's a warehouse associate to a manager to folks on my leadership team to even myself. Every single person at Pitted, when they join our team, is not just taking a bet on the company, but me personally. That's an incredible weight. And so when we make hiring decisions, we look first and foremost as if we were that person. If we knew everything about the company that there was to know, would I want to join this organization? Are they stable? Is the pipeline full? Do they care about their employees? Even though they're starved, do they have structures in place to take care of me? Because they have rent to pay and they have food to buy and they have families to take care of. So that takes an immense emotional toll on me. But again, building a strong leadership team, having activities that keep people engaged, having the empathy to everybody that's there, encouraging people to speak up and talk and share their feelings. Because we're all in the trenches together. Nobody's got it easy. But I think being an empathetic leader allows you to have a better touch on things. I'm going to butcher the quote. Jeff Bezos says, I need to look this up. This is super important that I get this quote. I don't know how you want to slice and dice this.
It's easy to slice and dice.
Bezos quote on stress.
One day we'll have enough resources to have, what is it, like a Jimmy that Joe Rogan has? Look at that quote.
Oh, yeah, I need a Jimmy.
Yeah.
I got a Chrissy. She's out there. She's busy. So one of my favorite quotes from Jeff Bezos is about stress. He says, stress doesn't come from hard work. Stress comes from avoiding what we know we need to face. So to me, also Brene Brown, a huge mental health, I'm sure you know of her. She also says clear is kind. So as it relates to managing this many people, being clear, not just from me to them, but from them to me is kind. I want to know what's going on. And then once we have the information, if we decide not to act on it, that's where the stress comes from. But if we're acting on it and we're doing what we can to fix things within our power, that's how you relieve stress.
It's a lot to learn in 3 years.
Yes.
Tell me about your first breakdown.
Oh, boy. The first one? Shoot. I think it was when I left accounting, really focusing on Pitted. I remember going to my first trade show. I think it was Expo East back when it was in Baltimore. Stayed in some very sketchy hotel, realizing that a sketchy hotel in Baltimore.
Yeah.
But it was just me. I was this bright-eyed, bushy-tailed 23-year-old or however old I was, 24, something like that. Fresh out of college, it's funny now looking back, Expo East in like suit and tie, got my fancy shoes on. But the stress came from, I just left a extremely safe career path in public accounting to the epitome of uncertainty, which is my own startup. So I was married at the time, and so I knew that there was a huge amount of pressure on me to not only just do the business right, but also get new business to grow it. Because if that went under, we didn't have a lot of savings. We had hardly anything. We were freshly married. So that was one of my first breakdowns. I had a number of them since then. My most recent one probably a couple weeks ago.
I was going to ask, what was your last one?
If
you're okay to share it.
Oh, I think sharing is vital, especially, for things like this.
Yeah. It is called oversharing too. So to say anything else would be a cop out.
True. The most recent one, I'll say I mentioned I was married, went through a divorce the past year. Obviously that has a huge mental toll on top of running a business. Her and I were still on great terms, and I'm very grateful, and I still love her. But the marriage as a system did not work out for us. And so I had a breakdown related to that and a lot of stress that's going on at work. And it's healthy. Breakdowns are not bad. I don't want anybody to feel that they have to bottle up emotions. I still do that. I'm a little bit of a hypocrite in that regard. But feeling your emotions and embracing them and being okay to express yourself in public or private is so vital. I'm a huge advocate for mental health, and especially in our world as founders, there's things that people will never understand. That's okay. But that's how that's the most recent one for me.
Yeah. How do your breakdowns manifest?
The most recent one was just ugly crying. I had a dinner and I went home to my apartment and basically just sat in the living room and just cried.
Yeah.
That was it for me. I just sat there for 5 minutes. It was utterly disgusting crying. But that's how that one was for me. Other times I get a lot of anxiety and stress, and I'm grateful I don't get paralyzed by anxiety, but I am the worst critical person to myself.
Yeah.
I will always blame myself first. So the first one I talked to you about at the trade show, I was thinking about everything that I'd done wrong and all the things that I wasn't doing as well. And in a large part that drives me today, but usually between ugly crying and just really beating myself up.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry to hear that. We do it to ourselves though.
Yeah.
What makes it worth it to you?
I think seeing the relationships that are built at Pitted is really special to me. To hear people make comments towards their coworkers around, I'm so grateful for so-and-so, like they really care about me. We have a few folks that are getting ready to go on or are on parental leave.
Yeah.
It's really fun to see that we have built an organization where people can not just pay their bills and eat food, but that they feel comfortable bringing children into the world, knowing that Pitted will take care of them. That is such a rewarding experience. And then seeing them come back, because like I said, I think all of our employees could go somewhere and make more money.
Yeah.
But to see them feel comfortable to start families, to expand their families, to take time away, knowing that they've got a good and rewarding job to come back to, is so powerful. And my hope is that we can continue doing that for all of our employees into perpetuity.
Yeah. And that's worth all the breakdowns.
It is.
Worth the loneliness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's tough, don't get me wrong, but the people are so vital to what we do, and it's all worth it.
Man, again, tremendous amount of respect for you, because there are a few people who have the courage to put themselves through the fire to make it better for somebody else. You know what I mean? That. And it's, I don't know, having to deal with a lot of personal issues that you've dealt with, plus just the stresses of running the business. It's hard to get unless you actually put yourself in those shoes, and it's challenging to do that. Do you ever notice where your personal life might be affecting your business life and then vice versa? Rhetorical question. But like,
I was going to say, the better question I think would be, do I see places where they don't affect each other? Because every aspect of my life, I am Pitted. And Pitted is a reflection of me. I've learned that a lot as I've managed people who manage people. So virtually call it poor work-life balance, but it's more than just I work a lot, which I will actually say my time spent working has actually decreased the past year and a half. But the amount of time that my mental state is occupied by the work, because I love it, I love the people, and it is who I am.
Yeah.
There very rarely is separations between the two. And that's certainly something to juggle. So I've had to deliberately look for things where it's not work related, just to have other outlets, have other social circles. Yeah. And the same thing, I can see Pitted as a reflection of me. I can see some of my habits, both good and bad, manifest themselves in the culture and in people. And so it's a great way to look in the mirror and see the good and bad things about myself and the things that I need to adjust.
Man, I'm sitting over here like, I feel like I'm having like, you're telling me something I should be thinking about more often, or like some sort of mirror put up. I'm like, damn it.
That's the fun thing about these. We get to share experiences.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, no, it is a lot of fun. And it's lovely to hear somebody actually be able to relate to that. You know what I mean? You're one of two friends actually who I think really have to go through that type of thing. What are the moments in your life where Pitted is not involved, where you're in a place of, I call it meditation personally, when I'm not thinking about the business?
Yeah. Yesterday I tried a sensory deprivation tank. Turns out that's all I thought about was work, because there's nothing else to distract me. So that's not the move.
And then for the listener, the sensory deprivation, did you have the one with, it was like salt water that made you float? And
1,000 pounds of salt floating in it, no lights, no sounds.
You're staying in Santa Monica, right?
Yeah.
That's, of course, they have all that stuff.
Oh yeah, they had lots of them. So anyway, learned that that's not the move. I've learned I'm not a particularly outdoorsy person when it comes to hikes and stuff like that. But living in Utah, there are lots of really pretty lakes. So I've recently gotten into boating, wake surfing. That has been a ton of fun. And, we bring the company out. Sometimes we do trips out there and friends. That has been my way to escape, is just to get out into nature, not in a hikey way, because trust me, I'll complain the whole way.
Yeah.
But in terms of just getting on the water, relaxing, being somewhere beautiful, ideally losing cell service. But that's been a big one for me, is going places where there's an activity. I don't meditate in the quiet Zen way, because my brain just constantly flips to work.
Yeah.
But getting out and doing activities and things that are a little bit more high energy with people that I love and care about.
Yeah. What about on a daily basis though? Because you can't go out boating every day before work, but I would assume that you need some sort of clarity or some sort of space to prepare your day for your work. Can you walk us through that?
Yeah. I don't know if you noticed, but I'm pretty bulky now. I started going to the gym about a year and a half ago. Absolutely hated it. By the way, you've been an inspiration to me. I remember you made a post actually a couple years ago or a few years ago. Like, people think I'm like a fitness influencer.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm just sharing my life.
Yeah.
For what it's worth, you have influenced me to get into fitness. So
fantastic. I'm sorry that you hate it. You gotta...
No, hold on. I hated it back in the day.
Okay.
But once I saw the chest gains, it was worth it. But really started getting into the gym about a year and a half ago. My head of business development, Robert Clark, shout out to him. He got me into it. So that's been, I do that probably 5 or 6 times a week.
Good.
Somebody I'm seeing right now, she's really big into Pilates and yoga. Mm-hmm. And so I've picked those up. Like, Pilates absolutely kicks my ass. Holy smokes. But just getting out and doing those things.
Yeah. Do you do Pilates with the machine?
The torture device?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done it.
The reformer,
times.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is incredibly difficult. And I'm in there with these very petite ladies, and here I am struggling, absolutely drenched. I've got the leg shakes and everything.
That's awesome, though. I love that. Do you do it at 5 a.m. too?
Oh, no, absolutely not. I am not a morning person. I have so much respect and actually a little bit of jealousy for morning people.
Yeah.
I do not earn my sunrise. I earn my sunset.
Nice. Okay.
I'm always an after work evening kind of person.
Got it. Yeah, I was just curious. I'm like, are all of us like 5 a.m. workout, then go to work people, or there's some that do what you do, which is awesome?
Nope.
So how do you, I guess you have enough layers between you and the business sometimes where your phone doesn't maybe blow up in the evenings, right? Yeah,
and I'm very grateful for that. Like I said, the actual time I spent doing the work, and I use that in a very specific way, has decreased over the past year or so.
Yeah.
However, I'm by no means an Elon Musk fanboy. He's done great business things. He said something to the effect of, as the CEO founder, the shittiest of problems raised to the top. When there's nobody else that can deal with things, it ends up on your plate.
Yeah.
So that's been tough for me, is instead of getting 20 emails a day from clients with things varying between I'm bummed to, hey, things are pretty good, I really only see, hey, this is the most incredible thing, we just signed a new contract. I see that. I also get the email that says, guys, I have no idea why this is going on, like, we need to cancel immediately. And I'm pulled into things. So, you hear entrepreneurial journeys are roller coasters. I feel the highs have gotten higher and the lows have gotten lower. That is what my day looks like.
Pretty much, right? It's like you have, I don't know about you, for me, it's like I'm between 5 a.m. and 7 a.m. It's like, this is peaceful. And then after that, it's like chaos.
Yep.
Yeah.
I did for a little bit. I tried, if you've got tips on this, please let me know. I tried not looking at my phone until I got in the office. That is so difficult.
It is challenging.
Because I find that I have more anxiety.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I don't know what's in my inbox. Are things burning down? Is some client mad at us? Did we sign any deals overnight?
That's funny. For me personally, I think, and look, we've been in business around the same amount of time. You have a lot more things that can catch on fire than I do. But at least on my side, I've realized that things don't catch on fire by themselves. And I'm just like, okay, like that's a morning thing. Like sometimes it'll like, if it's pissing me off, then like I'll handle it. But if I'm going to finish this and then.
Yep. I feel that. There are very few things where I get an outside of hours email that needs to be taken care of immediately, especially now for my role. So I feel like I haven't learned that lesson, but the Jeff Bezos quote about stress, that rings so true, because I hate knowing about something going wrong or being wrong and not doing something about it.
Yeah.
I do it to myself, but it is the cross I bear.
One thing I guess when I say I didn't realize, it's not that I didn't anticipate that you would be this type of person, but I just didn't really know about you from the times that we've talked before. It's just truly how empathetic and how caring you are for the people that you work with, which I think is incredible. But how do you separate caring about, because you can only, I think, and I don't mean this in a weird way, I feel like you can only care about whether or not Susie is doing okay in her like maternity leave so much before it starts consuming you a little bit. I have it like today, I have it for 5 people, and it's just like her wedding is on my heart. She's bringing a baby into the world that's on my heart. Somebody else is going through something that's on my heart. And already I'm just like, yo, how are you doing that at a scale of 45 people?
Yeah. I mean, that has been incredibly difficult. The first time I realized I didn't know all the warehouse workers' names was pretty heartbreaking to me, because up to that point I'd known all the people at Pitted. These are people that, 2 or 3 layers removed from me hired, and I was not involved in that process at all. That was really difficult for me to swallow that pill. And I think just the reality of it is, you or listeners pick your favorite company, the one that you aspire to be like the most or that you really respect. If they've got over 50 people, like at some point you can't hold all of that on your heart. It's just impossible. I don't think the human heart has the capacity to feel that much burden for that many people at the same time. So naturally, I think you do have to build these barriers, or just for me, it's not the healthiest way, but I have to be numb to some things and say, at the end of the day, people are going to feel their feelings.
Yeah.
And people are going to live their lives. I want to be able to create an environment where they hopefully thrive the best. But it just ends up being impossible to wear all that on your heart, and getting comfortable with that knowledge it's not a quick one, but
yeah,
it's important.
Yeah. So we've talked a lot about maybe the struggles is a hard word. The job description of an entrepreneur and a founder who's bootstrapping and really cares. That is the job description, in my opinion, is like, you actually have to care about everybody, and that's going to hurt. But how are you caring for yourself more outside of just going to the gym at night?
Like I mentioned, we're finally into summer season, so boating's my way out on the weekends. I also started seeing somebody, so whether it's a romantic partner, a friend outside of work, I would even go as far to say a therapist. Having somebody that you can really take off the armor that you wear throughout the day and be honest and transparent with them is so important. For a while, I was post-separation, and without having, somebody that was more on the romantic interest side, incredibly lonely. I don't have a co-founder. I don't have, because of the work-life balance that I need to have, I don't have people at work that I can share absolutely everything with. And for a brief moment, I didn't have a therapist. So that was incredibly isolating. All of my thoughts lived and died in my head. And there was nobody on the planet that I could share everything with. That realization was really tough. So for me, building those relationships where maybe they're not people at work, but people outside of work, where I can share the non-work related things, because you have to be respectful of that balance. You can and can't talk to coworkers about. But have somebody where you can talk to these things, all of the things in your life, maybe not the same person, but different groups. The therapist for me is somebody that I can share everything with. That outlet is so vital. And I use the term therapist loosely. You can be my therapist right now, because this is the kind of conversation that I would have with them. So having a personal outlet for people that you can talk to and express your feelings, even if their response is, hey, I'm sorry you're going through that, or hey, that's super awesome. That is just the mere action of vocalizing your thoughts is therapy in and of itself.
Do you ever feel like with your partner, and even maybe previously or anything like that maybe you unload a little too much, or that you unload and they don't get it, and it like doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't like satisfy I don't know, because sometimes for me, it's like, it's not just about being heard, it's being understood.
Yeah.
And it's, if you can't understand, it actually doesn't solve anything for me. I don't even need you to agree, as long as you understand. Absolutely.
Yeah. So both on the personal and business side, having that quote unquote therapist that you talk to, understanding, for me personally, I can't talk to somebody about these issues and feel truly heard unless I do understand.
Yeah.
So I am very grateful that the person I'm seeing right now, they're very business savvy. They understand. Ironically, they're in the same ish space as me. So even talking about like some technical stuff, they understand. So that's fun. But yeah, I mean, being understood is vital.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just go find another warm body and tell them about your problems and be like, yeah, sorry to hear that. Finding somebody that truly understands. I realize that's easier said than done, but we all need those people.
Yeah, totally. It's funny that I'm glad that somebody else agrees with me, because sometimes, or it sounded like you agreed with me, sometimes I feel like a crazy person when I'm just like, I don't actually need you to like agree, just understand where I'm coming from. And the second it's, yeah, I get it, I'm like, okay.
Yep.
So, which you mentioned you have a therapist, right? Is it specifically for a business owner? I feel like it's its own separate.
No, I should probably look for one of those though. So if
what
anybody has
niche,
good recs,
right?
Yeah. Maybe in post-pitted life, I can be a business mental health therapist. There's certainly a market for it.
I think so. It's just a challenging thing. Like, I'm not here to like, throw a pity party. Sorry, for us, but it's hard. It's lonely, and you're doing it. You're doing it at a different level. And again, it takes a lot out of you. And it's just great. Again, the fact that you put your people first through all that, because I was going to ask you the question, and maybe I'll just ask it anyway. It's like, there are decisions that you have to make between business and people, right? And those are never easy to make. And for me, like, I avoid the spreadsheet so much. And I once heard that the most important business decisions cannot be made on a spreadsheet.
Yep.
What's your reaction to that quote?
It's 100% true, because I think even in this world where we have more data than we know what to do with, and something that AI has not yet figured out how to do is the empathy and the emotional side of business. I have worked with businesses where I've seen both sides of the spectrum, where you have incredibly emotionally intelligent leaders and you have incredibly logical only leaders. Mm-hmm. Every single time, the businesses that are doing the best are the ones that have strong, emotionally smart, high EQ leaders. Mm-hmm. Even if you are a company, whether you're doing services or selling widgets and everything in between, having an understanding for the people until we become a planet where everything is done by robots, which is many years from now, you have to understand the people and understand what they're going through, because they are what either delivers the product or they are the product. So absolutely, you can look at spreadsheets all day, but if you don't know that so-and-so is going through a hard time because of X, Y, and Z, and they've got this on their horizon, unless you've got some dialed in engagement survey that you're doing, you're not going to know that unless you care about the people.
Yeah. And then there's a quote that I might butcher as well. I don't think I can look this one up actually, but it's almost the opposite of that one, where it says, a good leader doesn't try to keep all the lights on so that everybody still has a job. A good leader does what he has to do to make sure that the business survives.
Yep.
Your reactions to that?
Yeah, the business is what I was saying earlier. People who take a chance on Pitted also take a chance on me. I am Pitted, and Pitted is a reflection of myself. So that's how I feel every time somebody joins our team is, hey, I appreciate you joining, but it's much more than that. You've taken a huge risk on me. If you're the sole earner in your family, you've put your ability to pay for your family's bills and food on my ability to create as a company where you can earn that income, and hopefully grow even more. Yeah. So if the business does not exist, and ultimately that's my responsibility, that's my stewardship, is over the business success, then the people can't thrive. And I'm so grateful we've got a team of people who understand that. I think unfortunately especially nowadays, there's some kind of negative connotation around businesses and capitalism. And by no means am I saying, I'm part of me having Pitted is not to financially gain.
Yeah.
But I think it's often overlooked that if the business cannot sustain and do a good job, then it can't support the people. And so with us being so people focused, I can't be people focused if the business can't run itself. So unfortunately, at the surface level, it seems like some decisions are made in a purely capitalistic, FU human being kind of standpoint. But my stewardship is over the business to make sure that the business can stay alive and support the people that have taken a chance on it.
Dang. So what's next for Pitted?
Hopefully to the moon still. And even if we miss, we'll land among the stars, right? We got through COVID really. We've been a couple of years removed from that now. The warehouse is growing like crazy.
Dude, I just see your logo on the side of that warehouse and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so pumped for you.
That was such a special moment.
Yeah. Congrats, bro.
Thank you.
Like, you like grind. And then just hearing this part, like last time we talked, it's like, man, this guy's really like technically smart, like all this stuff. I think that's what really shone the last time we had this conversation. And now just knowing that you're like, you grind for people, like I'm just like, that's my dude right there, because like that. I don't have the other thing that you
I appreciate that. And I for what it's worth, I know you're grinding as much, and I think that's basically the point of this episode is talking about there's more than meets the eye. So I know there's more than meets the eye with you and the struggles that you have going on and the wins that you're going through. So equal kudos to you.
Thanks, man. Yeah. Dude, thank you so much for this conversation. This was eye-opening. It was, for me personally, it was comforting. Like now I'm like, I forgot there was an audience here. I was just like, dang, somebody gets it. And learning more about you was really incredible. If somebody wants to connect with you, how can they find you?
Yeah. Email me, Tyler@pittedlabs.com. Find our website, Pitted Labs. Then we've also got some killer social media content nowadays. It's hilarious stuff. Yours truly is also working on some content in there. So you may see my podcast only face on there, or radio face, but
No,
yeah, all the places.
It's great. And you've done an excellent job across all of it. I love seeing just the brand start to build too. It's a lot of fun for me because I think we were working on at least one or two of the same clients together, which was incredible. So yeah, man, thank you again to the listener. Thank you so much for your time and attention. We really appreciate it. If you loved the episode, we would dig a 5-star review. If you didn't like it that much, feel free to stick it to us, but subscribe anyway, because we're going to have a ton of incredible people just like Tyler back on the show. Thanks, man.
Thank you.